Cool. Let me just retweet that. Okay, and guys, we are live. Welcome to Box Football for our Premier League round of reactions to the first day of Premier League fixtures. Good fun, interesting opening day. A lot of things happened. We're gonna get into them. Let me just actually get myself prepared, guys, because that's something I should be doing. I'm gonna give everybody a chance to kind of get in. If you are in, please hit the comments and just give us a quick little heads up that you are in. Oh my days! The Premier League app. Oh my days! Come on.
It's always when they start like updating the points and stuff, it gets tricky.
Perfect. We have so many. Listen, Bryce. I to be fair, I didn't want to come on, but I have to in this situation. I know Tottenham fans are going to be absolutely buzzing. We might have to start with you, but 1 second. Let me just get the fixtures up. Let me just get the results up for the week. Okay.
First of all, James, while you get those up, I do just want to make a little comment on Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham to Roma for 40 million euros. Now, a lot of money. For a guy like that, I'll be honest, I think maybe overpaying a little bit, but I think what he can be and what I expect him to be at Roma is probably going to be worth that. And initially I saw that he was going to have a buyback for Chelsea for 55 million euros. And I was like, what's the point in buying him? If he has like one good year and then they can buy him back for 15 more than they sold him for. It's a joke. Apparently the buyback is now 80 million euros. So I am absolutely buzzing. Roma have gotten rid of a lot of dead wood. Nicola Zaniolo's back, and we have our starting number 9 now. That Uzbekistani striker that does not score goals, that was not the answer. So the fact that we got Tammy and this other guy, I guess it's going to be like a rotation thing. Ibanez was given the captain's armband the other day, so I'm quietly more and more hopeful Roma might make top 4, but we'll see.
Okay, so guys, we're going to try and cover all 10 games, but we're going to look at it game by game and really break it down. And since we got so many Spurs fans in here, we're going to have to start with Spurs versus City. Also, you guys are absolutely buzzing right now, but I'm going to have to put you down to earth just a little bit. But let's look at the first game, guys. First game, Tottenham versus Man City, the Premier League champions. And I was thinking, okay, Man City probably going to take this because I'm a bit of a betting man, and I was like, Man City, both teams to score. But seeing Tottenham take it, based on the run of the game, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
You really weren't surprised. By that 15-minute spell from Man City where they literally blew Tottenham away, the rest of it was very controlled from Tottenham and experiencing. And this is why I consider the performance to be a very Nuno type game, a very Wolves type Nuno type game where you can sit back, they can withstand the pressure, and with players like Verwan, like Lucas Moura, and like Son on the break, you can like you can trouble this Man City team. The one thing that annoyed me with Tottenham is the fact that when they would break on a Man City and like get the turnovers, Verwan with a lot of poor passes into certain areas, into Ali, if it's into, let's say, Son or like whoever, they'll just poor passes, like those poor decision making there. Tottenham, they didn't create a whole bunch. You can only think of 2 great real chances. Obviously, the Son goal and then the Bergwijn chance. But again, defensively, they were solid, and and like they did what they had to do in the second league. For them, it's like, who needs Harry Kane? If you play like that week in, week out, generally, who needs Harry Kane? But Jack, what did you feel about the game?
The better team won. I think plain and simple, the better team won. I've seen, I think Bryson's already made a point there. Tanganga is a gorgeous human. Tanganga is an absolute beast. I thought he was so good today. He was given the hardest job. He was basically like a one-man show against Grealish and against Sterling at different times in the match. He played out of his skin. My love for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg just grows and grows and grows. I think he is the man. We saw Christian Romero come on just to kind of hold out the game there, which I thought was really nice. And James, I think the one thing about Bergwijn, about Son, and about Lucas Moura, they all have the capabilities of being incredibly exciting players. Lest we forget, Lucas Moura was coming through at the same time as Neymar, and there were some people who thought Lucas Moura would end up being the better player than Neymar. Now, that's not happened, but you've still got that potential there. Steven Bergwijn is still young, still raw, and we know what Heung-min Son is. The better team won. There were certain times where I didn't really recognize what Man City were trying to do. And I think that I was watching the Overlap fan debate. I actually watched it today. I know it was on a little while ago, but Jamie Carragher was talking about, it's funny because Jack Grealish likes to carry the ball. He likes to take touches. He likes to move with the ball, and that's not really Pep's way. Pep is more let the ball do the work. We're going to break you down, all this kind of stuff. Beautiful, technically high-level football, tactically high-level football. And with Grealish, he really is kind of the polar opposite to that in terms of play style. So I was kind of intrigued to see what he would do. He was one of City's better players, in my opinion. I thought he looked really, really dangerous and really, really good. But again, and I'm not going to make the same mistake I did last year of saying that, because they don't have a striker to score the goals, they won't get enough goals. We know what happened when I said that last year. They went on to win the league, scored a bunch of goals. But again, your top goal scorer, Ilkay Gundogan, I don't know about that. I don't think that's great. And they need to address that. Now, is that going to be with Harry Kane? I don't know. You'd imagine now more than ever, they're going to make a push for him. And Daniel Levy might feel a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more warm and cozy letting Kane go purely because he saw them beat the champions. But James, you mentioned surprise there, right? City don't win at the new Tottenham Stadium. They don't. I think they've been there 4 or 5 times in a row and they've not won once, I think. I don't know if they were beaten every time, but I don't think they've won a game there in like 4 or 5 visits there. So as far as it goes for me personally, I wasn't surprised by the result. If I was a betting man, I think, especially without Kane playing, you would have probably picked City to win. But realistically, Spurs, City, I guess it's just not a good matchup for City.
Sorry, I was just upset because Marseille just let me down. They were 2-0 open and I'm losing their lead. But this is an interesting one here, Jack. Could you just mention this comment here?
Soccer and psychology, yeah, but sitting back and repelling consistent attack is something we couldn't do last season. So there you go.
And no, Jack, I beg to differ because that's what Tottenham did last. If you go watch the game you played against Man City last season when you won 2-0, it's literally a carbon copy of this season. Nothing really changed that much.
No, but I think soccer and psychology's point there is probably along the lines of. Is probably more along the lines of over the course of the year. Against City, I think largely nearly every team has to play that way. I think it's against a lot of the other teams where they didn't do that well. The defence for Spurs last year was really catastrophic, and it was the attack that only gave them any sort of dignity. So, yeah, look, and I think that's what he meant over the course of the year. And, yeah, look, some of these new players will grow in and Nuno will see what he feels comfortable doing. And, again, I know Dusan Vlahovic is one that's been looked at. And, I'm a huge fan of his. Atletico Madrid are looking at him too. And for me right now, I just think the right thing to do is to let Kane go. I think that's the smart decision and invest the money in the right areas. But again, big shout out for Tanganga, big shout out for Højbjerg. I thought he was brilliant as well.
For me, Jack mentioned it too in like Silver Surfer. This is this is what I was coming to. I'm not going to judge a Tottenham team based on today's performance because this is generally what a lot of teams do against Man City.
Right.
You're going to sit back, withstand the pressure, and like hit them on the counter. Tottenham's biggest thing to me is against the lesser teams. Yeah, against your Brightons, against your Burnleys. How are they going to fare? Are they going to go a goal down? I mean, are they going to go a goal up and try to sit back to like the last few minutes and then concede a goal? Nuno, I've never looked at him as being an attacking manager. And that's something that I'm gonna want to see from Tottenham and in like Nuno as the games go on. Because it's all good doing against the City and sitting back and kind of them playing into your hands. But what are you gonna do when a team asks you to take it to them and actually break them down? Those players like Bergwijn, who doesn't have space running behind, like Son, who doesn't have space to run on, how can they affect the game even more?
I take your point, but I think that realistically, we don't know what we don't know yet. right? And the point being on that, so far there's been one game against City. Okay, it was at home, but still these are the league champions, right? And you win the game. I think that's all you can ask for. We'll see what happens against the smaller teams, but as of right now, we don't know what that's going to be. And I think Spurs fans have a the right to be optimistic. I think that stadium full of people and fans trying to get behind the team, especially if Kane goes, the fans will really have to do a lot of stuff. Have to do a lot of work to kind of replace Kane and get behind the new players that are coming in. But yeah, great result for Spurs. Great result for Spurs. I'm not really scared for City. It doesn't change my opinion of them going into this year. I still, my prediction is still that they'll finish second. I didn't see today's game and go, oh my God, it's over. It's a 1-0 loss against a very motivated team away from home. I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, and that's very interesting to take into consideration that Pep has only won twice when he's played Tottenham at home, and it's a very difficult game for him. But with Manchester City, I feel like the one thing we need to kind of get completely out the window right now is that they cannot go into another season without a top striker.
Right.
Like today, for some weird reason, I'm seeing Mendy pulling up and putting crosses into a box, and I'm thinking, who's going to head it? Ferran Torres? Is he really that big aerial threat that once crosses into the box? Nah, it doesn't work like that. And there's a reason why Pep is obsessed with getting Kane. There's a reason why Man City need a striker, because if they get a striker, it's over for the rest of the Premier League. They will walk this league. But at this moment of time, the false line thing will not take them to a Champions League title, and the false line I don't think will take them to a Premier League title this season. But again, let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think that's a big one. I just want to get to a couple of we're a Sly. Hello guys. I know it's first match, but can be happy with a good start. Yeah, absolutely. Premier League, La Liga, fans back in stadiums, football's back, mate. Honestly, for me, hearing "Hey Jude" from Brentford, that was just fantastic, and we'll get to that game obviously shortly. The Old Trafford reaction to Raphael Varane was really special as well. I don't know. There's something about the games with fans back. It makes you feel really a part of it. And don't get me wrong, you guys, I liked it without fans for a very short period of time. I really did, because it was fun hearing the players interact with one another, hearing the managers react to one another, hearing the commentators apologize for swearing like every 3 seconds. But the point is, you can't give up that atmosphere for any sort of like analysis into the game. It's you need that factor, or else it just becomes a bit dead. That's all.
Okay.
Also, just quickly as well, David, odds on Pogba leaving United on a free next summer. I don't know. I think that realistically, there's only a handful of places that Pogba can go. I think once Cristiano Ronaldo leaves Juventus, which I expect him to do next year, Juventus is one of those places where he may be tempted to go. Real Madrid, he may be tempted to go as well on a free transfer. But again, if you're Paul Pogba and you get 4 assists in one game and you're playing with a side that could potentially win a league, win a Champions League, maybe Paul Pogba renews his contract, maybe puts a release clause in there. I don't know. What I'll say to you, though, David, is it's not an easy one to call. So odds on him leaving, I don't know what odds I'd give you. I'd probably give you for free on next time. I'd probably give you like 3-1, something like that on him leaving for a free next summer. A lot can still happen.
Just a quick one here, Jack.
Yeah. Soccer and psychology. Yeah, perhaps a somewhat controversial opinion. Sell Kane. Wait to invest the funds until January. We can then better understand our gaps and needs. Look, I think that's a very, very smart opinion and take, and I agree with you. I think that's actually probably the best thing to do. But the problem with football is I think you always want to give these people credit about being patient and being smart, but that's not the way football is as an industry. It's very reactive. It's very spontaneous. I think that's a great idea, because realistically, you're not giving up your chances of finishing top 4. I think we would say realistically, Spurs' chances of finishing top 4 are not fantastic right now. But again, they just beat the champions. So who the hell am I,
So let's move on right now. Tottenham fans, enjoy. You beating the champions, big accomplishment. But it's only one game, and that's what I'm going to remind everyone as we go on to this chat. It's only one game. Let's talk about Brentford against, I don't know about that other team, but Brentford won 2-0. Shout out to Brentford, newly promoted, beating this team that I don't even want to speak about, but damn, Brentford was sensational, Jack. Ivan Toney dominated whoever the other team was, defenders, and they're all good, playing beautiful football. They might even stay up this year. Man, Brentford were brilliant, Jack.
Yeah, they were. Brentford were the better team. Brentford wanted it more. They were more motivated. They seemed more tactically ready as well. Like I say, that stadium was absolutely jumping. That's a 10-minute walk away from where I used to live. Over the past couple of years. So very, very sad. I didn't personally get to go to a game at the new stadium, and and I think Brentford will always have a kind of a special place in my heart from that respect. But yeah, James, it was a team that wanted it more. And I'm sorry to say this, but it's just sad to watch Arsenal right now. And I'm trying to give Brentford.
Who?
I'm trying to give Brentford here, Jack. I'm trying to give Brentford as much credit as humanly possible, but unfortunately, we know the biggest story is the slow, depressing decline of this Arsenal team. And James, I got to ask you, what the hell's going on? I know it's just one game, and I know it's against a very fired up, motivated team, full capacity in their new stadium for the first time, all this kind of stuff. But Arsenal was abysmal. Ben White looked really bad.
Listen, I'm trying to just avoid it and not really talk about it, but it's generally the elephant in the room. The first comment was already getting ready to corn me about Arsenal. Listen, was I surprised? No. Did I expect it? I didn't expect to lose that bad, but I expected a loss or like a draw. I didn't expect us to win, and obviously with the injuries have happened, yeah, but that's not an excuse for everything. The biggest problem with Arsenal is the fact that first game of the season we weren't prepared, and that's happened year in and year out in like year out for this football club. It's just not good enough. Let's be honest, Jack. Our manager isn't good enough. Like let's be truthfully honest now. I listen. I want to back Arteta. I want to say he's a great coach, and I hope he goes on to be a great coach. But he's just not good enough at this level. Our team isn't good enough at this level. This Granit Xhaka thing about what he did for Switzerland. You seen what it was. Our two best players were probably Emil Smith-Rowe. That's all really. Martinelli, people talk about how great he is. I haven't seen much from him in the past year and a half. I haven't seen a lot from the kid. Tierney wasn't as good as he should do. And Ben White, first game, again, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but that's not 50 million, Jack.
And James, you're moving straight from a 3 to a 2. And I know much was made about this on the analysis during the match, but really, really poor, aerial performances. And I can't remember which pundit made this point, but they're absolutely spot on. You play 2 up against Arsenal because you've seen what's going to happen against Ben White, and if he can't deal with it, I mean, James, you picture Arsenal playing a Chelsea. Right, and you got Lukaku on one, and then Werner running through after a flick on or after Lukaku taking it down. It's game over. It's absolutely game over.
To me, the Chelsea game worries me because Chelsea can do a bit of both to us. They can run in behind with the pace of Werner, Ziyech, and obviously Kai Havertz can get in behind too. We've seen it in the Champions League final. If they want to hit it up and get physical with us, we can't live with them.
No.
What are the defenders going to do with Romelu Lukaku? It's very worrying at this moment of time where this football club is going, but again, the fact of the matter is that you can clearly see that there's a lack of ambition there, and there's a lack of ambition to the point of it's falsehood. They claim that they want to compete. They claim that they want to do all this stuff. We're no better than Tottenham. Look, Tottenham were in the mud. Tottenham were in the mud in this transfer window. We're no better than them. In this state of our football club, at least I can go back years ago when we had Van Persie, when we had Santi Cazorla, and even times when Tottenham had Bale and all that type of stuff. We still found a way to be better than them. At this moment of time, we are nowhere at that level.
No.
If we finish top 10 with this current squad, it would be a good season. If I'm being
Well,
honest.
and I agree with you. I've got you guys finishing ninth. I honestly think that's fair. And that's with good performances from some of your better players. It's depressing. It's sad. But again, James, I think, and you and I have had this conversation a bunch of times. The disappointing thing is there's no core to be built from there. Jurgen Klopp, it wasn't easy when Jurgen Klopp got to Liverpool, but you could see what was going on. When Pep started straight away, it wasn't easy, but you could see what was coming. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all credit to him, there is an identity, there is a culture being brought back to that football club. You can see where it's going. We know what Chelsea do. They're just ruthless. It's the mindset of the whole club from the owner down. But again, with Arsenal, there were some bright sparks in Arteta's first few months. You could see, okay, he's trying to do this. He's different to Emery. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I don't see any of that now. I do not see any of it. And it is getting to a point now. My thing is usually along the lines of, well, who then? If somebody's out, who's in? But at this point, I think realistically, anybody of some notoriety might be able to do a better job.
Jack, the guy to come in right now is screaming Arsenal straight in the face, and his name is Antonio Conte. He's free, right? There's no one looking at him. He's not under contract. Go out and get him. Let's not miss out like we did for Pep Guardiola them times, or like Jurgen Klopp. Like, here's a world-class manager. We need to get him. Let's just get into a few comments here, Jack, and let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. Versley, I remember Arsenal started creating chances, but wasting the chances in the middle of the first half before that goal. Just didn't expect Arsenal would lose seriously.
Wait. What chances did we create? Because I genuinely, by that Pepe chance in the second half, I couldn't tell you of a great chance we created. We had 4 shots on target, and I can't tell you any one of notoriety by that Pepe shot. It wasn't anything special.
Bryson, Emil Smith-Rowe was absolutely phenomenal in that match, besides the rest of the side that was struggling. Vera Sly, for Ben White, he seems comfortable with through it back. Look, I agree with you. And I'm not saying that you need to change the entire formation of the team, but what I am telling you is that Arsenal do not have good centre-backs. And Ben White, yet again, is not, to me, that much of an upgrade at this point. I think he could be in a couple of years with development and whatnot. We know we get that from defenders. But again, maybe the transition to a back three of some description will allow Arsenal to be a little bit more compact at the back, not conceding that many goals. And if they can just take a couple of chances, I guess we'll see. Soccer and Psychology, in fairness, they were also a bit unlucky with injuries. 22 shots on goal, none went in. Look, I kind of don't really want to hear it with the injuries and people not being available. It's the same for nearly every team at this point. There are teams who've just gotten back from X, Y, and Z who are still isolating. Harry Kane wasn't fit for Spurs. I made this point on Twitter. Manchester United's entire starting front three didn't play when they beat Leeds 5-1. There are ways around it when you have injuries, and there was enough quality in that Arsenal team, generally speaking. Brentford, who I have finishing 20th this year, to at least score a goal or at least keep it tight at the back and not concede 2 goals. So I don't buy that as an excuse.
Just like Jack, I really don't buy that as an excuse. 22 shots. Did Arsenal really create anything of note? All I remember was chances created by Brentford. It wasn't anything special from Arsenal throughout the whole game. And if you're having 22 shots and only 4 on target, you have a bit of a problem.
Bryson Coburn, Emil Smith-Rowe's spatial awareness is what Pep wishes Foden's was. I mean, yeah, it was good, but I still think Foden's a little bit of a boy wonder here too. Foden's spatial awareness is still pretty good.
As I'm going to say, like Emil Smith-Rowe, the target to him is to me get to next World Cup. He's that good, and people are seeing his quality. But let's move on. Let's stop talking about Arsenal. Let's go on and let's talk about Man United and their 5-1 win against Leeds. Hat-trick for Bruno Fernandes, 4 assists for Paul Pogba, and not just like these bit part assists. These were actual proper like.
There was an argument he should have won man of the match. Really, I mean, Bruno Fernandes played great, but Pogba was special. Some of that passing was special.
The only problem I had with Paul Pogba was the fact of I felt he was, by the assist, he was very sloppy in the game. The amount of times he would try to drag back in the middle of the pitch and get dispossessed, it wasn't a vintage Paul Pogba game. There was still a lot there that needs to be improved at, but 4 assists is 4 assists. Contributing that many to a team's success is huge. And the one thing I say for this Manchester United team is that the 2 players to start for you are going to be the 2 reasons that you go on to win a title if you do. Not Varane. And Varane makes a huge difference. Trust me, makes Man United even better. But Paul Pogba needs to be playing at his absolute best, because to me, he's the key. He will be the key if Man United go on to win the title. And secondly, Bruno Fernandes. If he plays to where he is and gets the goals and gets the assists, Man United have an absolute great chance. And another thing for me was Mason Greenwood.
Oh,
I was
unreal.
so impressed with him. And I remember I've said this on a number of occasions. Out of all of England's prospects of Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Bukayo Saka, he to me has the highest ceiling, to the point of view of I genuinely do believe that there isn't too many world-class strikers in the world today compared to yesteryear. He is one of these young players that can generally go to the absolute top with his all-round ability, and then his finishing lethal. That goal that he took was just sensational.
Oh, unbelievable finish. But I think the beauty for somebody like Mason Greenwood, he opens up everything for everybody else. That's the fantastic part. You look at him, sometimes he would come in and Bruno would run past him. I think that's how a couple of the goals were created. Again, when he can drift out wide, it allows Pogba to then come more central as well. And I actually think, funnily enough, that formation, I mean, maybe swap out somebody like Dan James for Jadon Sancho, and maybe that's actually your best team and your best formation. Thought Scott McTominay was really good again. I really big fan of him. Varane obviously makes a huge improvement. But yeah, James Edinson Cavani's got to be careful here. Because with Mason Greenwood playing like that, I think he's going to have to, look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and say, well, why am I not playing? It's like, well, because Mason Greenwood's here, So they were fantastic. I picked them to win the league because I think that they seem to always do well in big games with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think with the additions, the fans back at Old Trafford, I think it's just going to be a culmination of a lot of work. I think it'll be very close, but I'm still picking Man United prior to Kane signing for City. I'm still picking Man United to win the league.
But the one thing I don't want with these Man United fans and all the Man United people is don't get too ahead of yourself. Yeah, there's so much to go. And secondly, Leeds are almost a perfect team for Manchester United to play against.
I was just about to say, tactically, it's a horrible matchup for Leeds. Horrible.
It works out every single time. Look at the result last season. You won 6-2. It was virtually a carbon copy of that this season. So I don't think it's like, oh, guys, it's like they're like favorites and all that type of stuff there. Again, you should be happy. You have players like Varane coming into the squad, Rashford getting back into fitness, and also Jadon Sancho. So many Cavani coming on, also in a lot of good stuff, for Manchester United. But don't get too high at this moment in time, because there's still a lot of football. And with Manchester United, it's when the time goes on for them. It's not right now. It's 25 games in. Where are they going to be then? Because usually they're 25 games in, they're 20 points off, but they're third place. That's going to be the biggest problem. But let's get into a few comments for Man.
So David Ebikemi looked like Greenwood bulked up during the summer, so lethal up front, naturally both-footed. I mean, yeah, man, that's exactly what you want. I look at, he's also one of these strikers, reminds me a little bit of Van Persie, purely from a standpoint of that low backlift as well when he shoots. Kind of like Messi as well, and to a certain extent. I know that's one thing Messi does better than anybody else. It's that kind of shot that you think, oh, that's not very powerful, and oh, it's gone in. Because it's that split second of extra reaction time the goalkeeper does not have, and the ball's already past him. And Greenwood has that. I mean, guys, I cannot tell you, I'm no great footballer myself, but a left-footed shot to the bottom right-hand corner at a tight angle and it going in, that doesn't really work most of the time. That is not a goal you will see all that often.
This is a bit of a weird comment. I don't understand this. What does expected goals really mean?
So it's statistics. It's just purely it's an equation based on statistics.
I understand that, but what do they quantify as a expected goal? That's what I'm looking at.
So it's the more majority of the time from a certain area of the game that a goal is scored and a chance is created per team. Basically, you put all the necessary statistics in per team for from the defensive side and the attacking side. You look at how they've done historically in each of the positions, and then you'll look at their expected goals from those positions. So with Brighton, for example, they create loads and loads of chances, and on the percentage of chances that a team would usually score, they would score loads. So that's why we always talk about Graham Potter. If Brighton had a half decent striker to put some chances away, or some decent wingers to put chances away, we'd be looking at Brighton as a top 4 team. But obviously we know that's not the way football works. It's nice as an overview, but I'm not a huge fan personally of the XG philosophy. There's way too many variables for me.
Same here. David, what team do you support? Are you a Man United fan, Tottenham fan, or Chelsea fan? Just let us know. I need to know exactly what team you are. Sammy, unfortunately, you missed the City talk. We literally just
blasted through
it.
But yeah, and Leeds, again, we know what they're going to be.
Don't worry,
they're
Sam,
going to be.
I got you.
They're going to be the best team to watch, you would imagine, for neutrals week after week after week. And I do expect them to get better. I think once somebody like Patrick Bamford gets rolling, Rafinha, these kinds of guys, it's great that they've got Jack Harrison in permanently now, and obviously having Marcelo Bielsa is the big rub for that Leeds team there. I don't know if they're going to outperform how they did last year, personally. I think some money probably needs to be invested for that to take place. But yeah, I if I was Leeds fans, I wouldn't be too scared.
Let's just call you an AC Milan fan. Let's take the Tottenham fan out of it, David. All right, guys. Let's move on to Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. Patrick Vieira's first game in charge as Crystal Palace manager didn't go so well at the Bridge. Chelsea winning 3-0. Goals from Marcus Alonso, Christian Pulisic, and Trevor Chalobah on his not on his Premier League debut, might be on his full Premier League debut.
Yeah, I think
Trevor
so.
Chalobah actually also being named man of the match, and he's been impressive in the last 2 games. And Chelsea at this moment in time, we're bringing in Romelu Lukaku. Jack, does that change your prediction now with Chelsea?
Oh no, I left it. I kind of took that as read when I did my Premier League table, guys. If you haven't checked that out, do look at the Box to Box channel. I did do a 20 through 1. Obviously, it's version 1.0. Version 2.0 will be out, and James and I will both probably take part in that video. Just looking at once the transfer window ends, where teams are at, because Arsenal sign the whole PSG squad. We're talking about a different team. You know what I mean? And the transfer window is a bit crazy. I forgot where we were, James. What were we saying? Chelsea, Lukaku. No, look, I still think it's going to be much the same beast. They're going to just have to change the way they play. That's my biggest thing. I don't expect to see the same Lukaku that we saw at Inter. I've told you this before. I thought that was the perfect storm for Romelu Lukaku to play his best football. I'm of the belief Romelu Lukaku's best year of his career was last year. I don't think we're going to see any better than how he played last year. He was unplayable at times. He's going to probably be the one pin-up kind of striker that he's been in the Premier League in the past. I still expect like 20, 25 plus goals. He's that kind of talent, that kind of player. But I think a lot of people talking about, the missing jigsaw piece for Chelsea. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not so sure.
But Jack, you look at this Chelsea team, and the one thing that they lacked so much was the goals. The fact of the matter is that Jorginho was the top goal scorer with 7 goals, and probably the majority of them being penalties. That's not good enough, and that won't take you anywhere. How the game against Real Madrid, the second leg at the Bridge, chance upon chance upon chance upon chance. Timo Werner, we've already established he's not going to get you goals. Kai Havertz obviously chip in. Ziyech will chip in, but you need that consistent goal scorer. Lukaku, he's guaranteed goals. Minimum in the Premier League, 20. I think in all competitions, 25. That's the minimum he's going to get you in this side. To me, it's a perfect fit for them. It's the right fit for them. And I understand where Chelsea were coming from. The Erling Haaland thing was unrealistic to the point of view of 75 million. How many teams are going to be chomping at the bit to get him? You're not going to guarantee. So you might as well go for who's already there. And Lukaku's a great option to have.
So according to reports, Lukaku was their number 3 choice. They went for obviously Erling Haaland straight away. They then made an inquiry for Robert Lewandowski, which I thought was pretty bold. And then obviously they settled on re-signing Lukaku. That I don't like personally. I don't love the fact that you spend 97, however many million on your third choice, on your third choice player, and that's an elite list. Don't get me wrong, Haaland and Lewandowski and Lukaku, that is an elite list. But I don't love that. You talk about it as kind of the perfect fit. I'm not so sure. I'm really not. We saw him at a younger age not succeed at Chelsea, even though we did see him succeed in a West Brom shirt, an Everton shirt, etc., etc. And then when they had the chance to re-sign Romelu Lukaku, he went to Manchester United instead. I don't know. You talk about the perfect fit. I don't know what that Chelsea team is going to look like. I don't know what their most commonly used formation and 11 is going to be with Lukaku in that side. I still think that if Tuchel is smart, you would play to Lukaku's strengths, play him in a 2, try and replicate what Conte did with Inter last year. I think they have the personnel to do it. And I think Werner, who also plays better in a 2, is the perfect other piece for Lukaku. I think Lukaku and Werner in a 2, oh my God, you'd see Werner do much better. You'd see Lukaku maybe continue how well he was doing at Inter.
Yeah, but 2s I don't think 2s happen a lot in modern day football, unfortunately. The one thing about you mentioned how Lukaku's history, Chelsea are also known for being a team who mess up with a lot of great players. They were also the same team that dropped Kevin De Bruyne, and look what he became to be.
Salah.
Also the same team that dropped Mo Salah, and look what he became to be.
Tomori, Tammy Abraham.
well, let's see with those 2 if they get to that height. Lukaku to me doesn't change to so much. He just drops into that centerpiece position. But again, let's kind of get into the game. Trevor scored an amazing goal. I felt he was absolutely terrific for Chelsea. Marcus Alonso, for some reason, he's a fullback, but he seems to be, when I watch him, he seems to be the most advanced player for Chelsea on a number of occasions. He seemed to be the guy arriving in the box to get the goals for them. It's a bit of a weird one with him, but overall, good start for Chelsea. The bridge was rocking. Fans haven't been there in ages. Really good there. But let's get into a few comments, Jack.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Is Vieira at the front of the race to get sacked? Not that he's an awful manager. Just feel like he doesn't have the experience in a team going with that many moving parts. No, look, Palace going to Stamford Bridge on the first game of the season with a new manager and a bunch of new names after having let go basically their whole squad from this past transfer window. Forget about it. They were never going to win. We're going to judge Crystal Palace on the games that they should be competing in. And no disrespect to them, but yeah, you're going to Stamford Bridge. This team just won the Champions League. Like, we're not expecting a result here. I don't think he's going to get sacked. I think that, like with any manager, bad results, that you live and die by your results. And if that continues, then yeah. But right now, I think to say that Vieira is any closer to being sacked than before the Chelsea game is crazy. You can't expect to beat that Chelsea team first game of the season away from home.
Yeah, and that's my thing with Vieira. I just think people just need to give him time. I don't want to see what happened to Frank de Boer happen to Vieira, where he loses 1 or 2 games and everyone's just jumping already. This team has made a drastic change. Has let players like Townsend go, Gary Cahill, so many names that they've let go. So just give him time to adapt, and I hope Vieira can put it together. A top in like 11th place finish would be not nice for this Crystal Palace team, but it's early on, 1 game. Not really. Not yet. And also,
let him just not get relegated, I think, is the main one. Let him just not get relegated. Give him January, give him the next summer. And then when we see them maybe sneak up to somewhere mid-table, we can go, okay, right, something's going here. But, we can't expect Patrick Vieira to just, turn over a kind of underwhelming Crystal Palace team, in 1 game week. That's kind of crazy. And also, again, guys, the run of fixtures, look, I get it that, people can talk about how good's your schedule, how bad's your schedule. Everybody plays everybody twice, home and away. I'm just like, there's no benefit to playing all the good teams at once, all the bad teams at once. You can talk about fixture congestion around Christmas, but realistically, everybody plays everybody twice. It's the way of the league.
That's very true. But now let's move on to Liverpool and Liverpool's game against newly promoted Norwich away from home. They won 3-0. And Jack's buddy, Mohamed Salah, gets 2 goals and an assist and becomes the first Premier League player in history to score in 5 consecutive opening days. I mean, Jack, with Virgil van Dijk back, this Liverpool team looked, listen, they, like, in my opinion, they still need new players in, but they looked impressive against this Norwich team.
Yeah, I mean, they looked, they looked okay. I still have kind of major concerns going forward. I still think the central midfield problem is very, very real. And Norwich having lost, most of their better players in the off season, I don't expect them to be too much of a threat going forward. So this is not going to be the major test I think that this Liverpool team will face. But yeah, Virgil van Dijk, there's definitely a presence there. I don't know whether it's the dressing room, on the pitch, you name it, but there's a certain level of, oh my God, we got that guy in our team. And also, James, there's a certain level of like, there's the holy shit factor, right? And I'm sure you've done it. I've done it. You get off the team bus when you're playing for your school or for your club or whatever, right? And you see, like, for me, it was with rugby, right? You play rugby you play rugby, right? And I would get off the bus and I'd see these 6-foot guys over the thing, and I go, oh man, we're not playing against those guys, are we? And I just wonder if there's a certain level of that with Virgil van Dijk. You see just this very impressive physical specimen, and I'm rooting for him. The guy's an absolute colossus, and I'm really, really rooting for him. I hope we get to see Konate at some point, and obviously when Thiago comes back in, that changes things too. But yeah, Norwich, they should be winning. So, and they did.
Liverpool's record against Norwich is very good, to be fair. Yeah. I can't remember the last start. Every player, Liverpool always seem to have that one player that always stars against Norwich, and one of them is Mo Salah, who has a great record against him, and also Luis Suarez back in the day, who just seemed to score hat-trick upon hat-tricks against them. It's always been a comfortable fixture for Liverpool.
Just quickly, to explain the Jack's buddy, Mo Salah, I think he's arguably the most overrated player in history. I really do. I think he is. I don't see it. And there are so many breadcrumbs which lead me to that kind of opinion. He misses a crazy amount of chances, crazy amount. He's Liverpool's striker. Let's make that very clear. This isn't
Who scores a lot of goals.
This isn't some winger who we think is just breaking all sorts of records. He plays the most central position, the most further forward position. The most impressive thing about this Liverpool team over their successes of late has been Jurgen Klopp. This is a system. Mo Salah is a product of a system. You move Mo Salah to any other team, he doesn't have anywhere close to the success that he would have in this Liverpool team. There's a reason why he hasn't signed for Real Madrid, Juventus, PSG, Barcelona. There's a reason why the big boys have not been sniffing around Mo Salah, and to me, it's quite glaring. I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah, but how many of the big boys are sniffing around Liverpool players? Liverpool players are virtually untouchable. Liverpool don't want to let their players go. They're not like other clubs who players who have good seasons and they're automatically on the chopping block to go to the next team. Liverpool are now established as a big side now. They're now to the point where players don't want to leave because the level is as high as Real Madrid, as high as Barcelona.
No, I disagree. I think that historically players would want to leave really any Premier League team to get to those, to get to those two Spanish clubs mainly. I mean, we can talk about maybe PSG now, maybe Juventus, maybe Bayern. But realistically, over the past few years, it's just not happened with these guys. The true talent in that Liverpool team is a product of the Jurgen Klopp system, in my opinion. And trust me, I'm a Roma fan. I saw him play at Roma. I saw him miss plenty of big chances and also score plenty of goals. And a better player would score more goals.
Women lie, men lie, but numbers don't. Mo Salah's numbers are ridiculous, Jack.
His chances missed numbers are unreal, unmatchable.
Yeah, but Jack, if you can find his chances, if you need to back this up with facts now.
I'll look it up.
Because at the end of the day, this guy's pulling up, giving me 20 assists, 20 goals plus a season, 30 goals plus a season with 10, 15 assists, Jack. You can't, these are Ballon d'Or numbers. But again, Jack, let's just get into a few comments first.
Yeah, sure. Bryson, Liverpool had a shaky start to the match, grew into it. Wasn't the most convincing win, but there was no doubt as soon as Jota scored, they'd go on to win. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about a lot of these, a lot of these teams. As long as you get that goal ahead and then the other teams have to come out, then it's mostly game over. It's when those small teams can get that maybe sneaky one goal or keep it 0-0 late and then maybe get lucky at the end. That's where it'll work.
And
The early goal against the smaller teams is so important. So yeah, when Jota went in, it was kind of over.
it might be something that isn't new, but one thing I really seen from Liverpool was like defensively, they seem to have a good structure. But once the ball breaks, you've seen that like change of reaction. You see the way that they sprint forward with that front three, and it's not like before where like they're pushing high. They can sit back now, and once that once that counter attack starts, they have the players running forward. It's absolutely killer, and their ability to bring on have Jota on the pitch and then take him off, and then bring on the quality of Firmino in there too. It looks great for them. The weirdest thing for me with Liverpool also, this Sadio Mane Mo Salah thing. I have this weird feeling that they don't like passing to each other. Every time I watch them play, I never feel like they enjoy playing with each other. It's always been a really, really weird thing for me. But Jack, you got a few Mo Salah slander that you have to answer.
Since the 1st of July 2017, Mo Salah has missed more big chances than any other player with 40.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, it's not bad, but James, if you had the amount of chances that Salah scored, I'd put some money on you to get some goals, maybe a golden boot.
Yeah, but Jack, if we gave Timo Werner Mo Salah's chances, do you think he's scoring?
I'm not talking about Timo Werner. I'm talking about Mo Salah.
I mean, you get these chances, you have to take it. But let's go.
And he doesn't. That's the point. He doesn't.
Jack, he's 2 top goal scorer awards. He broke the record for most goals ever scored in the Premier League in 38 games this season.
And he's also the most wasteful player in the league. I wouldn't say he's the most overrated, but I do absolutely agree that Salah is just a finisher playing as a striker for a dominant team. Yeah, exactly. He benefits from the system. The work rate of that midfield, the deliveries from people like Trent, people like Andy Robertson, absolutely massive. For him and his support. Soccer and psychology. In fairness, Salah was pretty average at Chelsea. Thing is, you say that at Chelsea, okay, he was poor at Chelsea. At Roma, he was good, but it was the same old issues. He would just miss a lot of chances. He would score a good chunk of goals, but again, it was part of actually a really good Roma team, and he just did not make the most of what was there to be had. Vera Sly, by the way, about Roma, how are you feeling? If Coutinho to Lazio is really happening, I don't think so, mate. I'd be blown away. I mean, that would be a real career change for Coutinho. Obviously, he's played in Italy. We know he came from Inter, and maybe he wants to spend some time in Rome. Who knows? But I don't know why you'd want to go to Lazio. Maybe he should come to AS Roma. Bryson, I've had multiple arguments with Liverpool fans comparing Salah to Kane. They can't be compared because Salah is a winger. He plays the most forward central role for them, so he can't. Well, that's the thing, Bryson. And again, football is not played on the tactic sheet that is given in before the game that has Mo Salah as a right winger. We all know he's the most central, furthest forward player in that team. He is the strike point for that team. So, I get the comparison. It's again. I think we see the comparisons with Hazard, with Kane, and any team wants to have their best player compared against the other teams like quote unquote best players. But realistically, you're taking Kane, you're taking Hazard all day over Salah, you're taking Mane over Salah if you're me anyway. Was Vernon on that list? Blah blah blah. FSG. Liverpool lucky to have Klopp. Yeah, 100%. Bryson, imagine Son at Liverpool instead of Salah. That's 35 goals a season, dude. Yeah, seriously.
Guys, what type of like Mo Salah slander is this? This guy scores goals for fun.
Nobody's saying he doesn't score goals. We're saying he misses chances. There's a difference.
And a lot of Jack Ronaldo misses chances. Ronaldo missed a lot of chances. But he's still arguably the greatest. He is still the greatest goal scorer of all time. Like Harry Kane. How many shots does Harry Kane take for Tottenham?
Yeah, but James,
unloaded.
James, Kane has to take those shots because he doesn't get the chances created for them. So nearly all of Salah's goals are silver platter type goals that he has to score.
So, Jack, do you want to see some of the goals?
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna show me a highlight reel that misses out all of his tap-ins or what?
Jack, did you see the goal he scored yesterday when he opens up his body, smashes it into the top corner?
One goal. I don't know what to tell you.
No. Go look
is Trevor Chalobah a better player than Mo Salah because he scored a better goal or what?
Oh, you just said he all like Mo Salah did was score tap-ins.
No, I didn't say all. I said that. No. Are you going to show me a highlight video where it misses out all the ones where he scores tap-ins? I could show you any player's highlight reel for goals scored, and then they would all be bangers. Giroud's not the best player of all time, but you show me a highlight video of him, and you'd think he was.
I don't listen for a guy who scores as many important goals as Mo Salah does, score in so many big games as Mo Salah does. I don't get to slander that.
You're right. Klopp and the whole Liverpool team, they don't deserve any credit. It's all Salah. He's just doing it by himself.
No. But Salah should get
That's why he's had loads of success at Chelsea, loads of success at Roma, loads of success at Basel. Yeah.
Basel, he was actually really great. He was great at Basel. But Chelsea, but Chelsea, who not too many people succeed at Chelsea, Jack. How many? I can give you a list of top strikers who didn't play well at Chelsea. Fernando Torres didn't play well. Are we still going to say that he wasn't a great striker?
At Chelsea, yeah, damn right.
Oh, Jack.
James, look, it's my opinion. I think he's one of the most overrated players, and I think that there's a huge weight to that argument. And like I said, the lack of interest from other clubs to me speaks absolute volumes. They've been trying to shift one of those front three. Mainly, the one they've been trying to shift is Salah for a couple of years now to try and cash in on him because they know that there are so many other players who can do just as well, if not better, in the role that he's being asked to perform for that Liverpool team.
Interesting. I find that interesting. But let's move on. Let's move on to a few more games that we're going to cover right now. Let's look at Leicester. Wolves finished 1-0. Jamie Vardy again gets another goal. Age. It's honestly ridiculous at this rate. I remember we were doing a ranking for the best Premier League strikers and how we were ranking Jamie Vardy, and he was nearly borderline top 10, and he's getting to a point, Jack, where he's on the trajectory to get 150 Premier League goals. And for a striker who's only been in there for a short space of time, it's ridiculous what this guy is doing. In this Leicester City team, they had a fantastic window. Again, I felt the Southampton centre back that they just brought in, another amazing piece
Vestergaard,
of business. Vestergaard, another amazing piece of business from this Leicester team. They're going to trouble a lot of teams this year, but again, I don't have them. You have them finishing top 4. Could you please explain why you have them finishing top 4?
I just think it's one of these teams that goes about their business in a quiet, professional manner, and they beat the teams that they should beat, and they give really good games for the top teams. And I think that's all you need to be a threat. I'm not super confident with Leicester at top 4, but I do just have that feeling. That's just the way they go about their business. I think there's plenty of attacking options available there as well. I like Soumare coming in. We've spoken about that before. I think Vestergaard is great for Fofana replacement. I would say at this point of each of their careers, it's probably a slight upgrade on Fofana. I expect Fofana to be the better player, at the peak of his career. But I think Vestergaard, they've upgraded at the centre-back position as well. I don't know, mate. Do you know what I mean? There's no drama around Leicester. We always talk about Spurs, and we always talk about Arsenal and Liverpool and the Manchester clubs and Chelsea and these bigger teams that have more stuff going on. Leicester just go about their business. They work hard. They're professionals, and they get the job done. And eventually, one way or another, they're right in and amongst it in those top 4 positions. And I just think, I think we will see potentially a bit of a drop off from Liverpool this year. And I expect Leicester to be the team out of all the other teams to take the charge on that.
Do you see this, Jack? What's this?
I don't know. Water bottle?
No, this is just a normal bottle, and this is and I'm not describing Tottenham here. This is Leicester City. And this is what they've been the last 2 years when it mattered the most. Leicester in the last 2 years and put them in pole position to not only finish in the top 4, but I'm talking third second place.
Yep.
You know, even at times challenge for the title, and then they somehow still find their way 5th place, 6th place. How does that make sense? I remember the first season of COVID 2 seasons ago, they were second in the table,
right?
And then somehow after the restart, they lost like 8 games straight, and like they missed out on the final day to Man United.
Right.
Last season, the exact same thing, in pole position to win it, to get top 4, choked again, and that's the difference. Listen, teams are so much better right now, so much better than them. You know, Man United have taken a leap that is huge. Chelsea have taken a leap that is huge. Man City are going to be Man City, and Liverpool is Liverpool. 2 seasons ago, people were talking about how Liverpool were going to go unbeaten. There was no way that they don't get Champions League football. Leicester, to me, a team they're going to be sniffing around the top 6. They're better than Tottenham right now. They're better than Arsenal right now.
Right.
I don't think that they're at the level to compete for the top 4.
Yeah, look, and again, I'm not gonna disagree with you in the same way that anybody saying, I can't believe you've got Chelsea 3rd, Chelsea are going to win the league. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. I think they could do that. I'm not predicting it, but I think it could happen. Leicester finishing 5th or 6th, yeah, of course I think that could happen. But I also think Leicester are one of these teams who can quietly work away and potentially win the league this year. I know you might think, oh, that's crazy, whatever. I've got them finishing above Liverpool. I just think that they go about their business in a kind of an unnoticed way, and it's that hardworking nature of that team with attacking diversity and dynamism, with multiple options in that team now as well. And James, we've still got Patson Daka to come in and just really kind of show out for those guys and get better and provide a bit there. And I think Harvey Barnes is a great player. I really do.
But is he fit, or like, because I'm pretty sure he's coming back from injury, right?
He played. I'm pretty sure he played. So again, maybe he's just getting back his levels of fitness. But yeah, again, keeping Tielemans, Wilfred Ndidi, apart from N'Golo Kante, I think you'd say Wilfred Ndidi is probably second best midfielder in the world in terms of that role that he's being asked to fulfill for Leicester. And defensively, we know what they are. It is very solid. The centre backs always seem to do well. I'm a big fan of Kasper Schmeichel. I think he's a terrific dressing room presence and captain type for that team. And yeah, we've talked about it. When you got Jamie Vardy, you got a chance, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be interesting with this Leicester team. Still, to me, a lot to prove. When
I agree.
When it matters most. But again, they're gonna give all top 6 teams tough games. Don't be surprised if they're picking up big points many times throughout the season. But let's see what happens when it becomes squeaky bum time, as Ferguson used to say. But let's just get through 1 or 2 comments here, Jack.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Leicester are, on my days, that spider is massive. I'll finish this comment in a minute. I need to go kill a spider. Okay, dude. Good luck with that.
Bryson. We love it.
Yeah, let us know how you're doing. Vardy on 119 goals for a person whose diet just consists of him drinking Red Bull. That's amazing. Where do you think he gets his running from? He's got to get those electrolytes.
He's like 33, 34 right now. He's still going at a crazy level. Jack, just a quick one, just to finish off the day. What was your game of the day today?
Like of the whole weekend kind of thing?
Yeah. Yes. Whole weekend, Jack. So actually, let me run through the rest of the fixtures that we haven't really talked about.
Yeah.
Newcastle versus West Ham today. The game finished
4-2, right? Yeah.
To West Ham. A fantastic comeback for them, coming back twice against Newcastle. You also had Watford versus Aston Villa. Watford on their comeback to the Premier League, winning 3-2. You had Everton versus Southampton. Everton coming back again to win 3-1, and Burnley versus Brighton. Brighton winning that game 2-1. But Jack, throughout all them games, what was your game of the day?
I know that obviously people will look at the Spurs game with the Kane stuff going on, and Grealish and all that stuff, and obviously that had a lot of big moments, big kind of rhetoric around it. But I've got to be honest with you, James, I hate to say it, Brentford beating Arsenal was just a great great game. It was a good victory, in my opinion, for football, and it was an exciting.
He got the Jack. He got the spider. Congratulations, Bryson. He got the
Nice work,
spider.
Bryson.
Yes.
I think that the Man United game was probably fun to watch, as I'm sure the West Ham game was fun to watch. But I think realistically, Brentford christening that new stadium, fans back in there. Arsenal 2-0. It's kind of a London rival still, just about. It's kind of a reach, but I'd say probably the Brentford Arsenal game.
My game was West Ham versus Newcastle. The fact of it wasn't just a big goal scoring game. It's the fact that West Ham had to come from behind twice. They showed a lot of character to be able to do that. And then again, the penalty that was given for West Ham to get the third goal was a bit contentious. VAR might need to sort that out, but overall, like West Ham are going to be a team that is going to challenge Leicester City for that fifth or like sixth spot in my eyes. And Mikel Antonio doing what he did again, becoming West Ham's all-time leading goal scorer in the Premier League era. Massive.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Absolutely huge. I think that I think that West Ham team will continue to do well. And similar to Leicester City, I think in a lot of ways, there's a certain workman-like quality. No big dramas. They've kept Declan Rice. There's been no real rumours about him wanting to leave or requesting a transfer, even though there's been plenty of interest from Chelsea. I just think they're going to go about their business, and especially if somebody like Mikel Antonio can stay fit, James. There's probably no ceiling to what they might be able to achieve this year. Again, I'd probably say, maybe fifth or sixth might be the peak of what they can do. I want to actually check where I had West Ham, finishing. Bear with me a second here. So I had West Ham sixth, actually. So there you go. And I wouldn't rule that out. I do think that playing at their best, they could easily finish there. Top four, probably too much for them. But again, how bad can this West Ham team be? Well, I don't know. Like, they could probably finish as low as 14th, 13th, something like that, maybe. Viruslai, West Ham have a concern about squad depth, considering they participate in the Europa League. Yeah.
That might be an Achilles heel for them, which I don't think it shouldn't, because every team should be able to juggle the league in Europe, because teams have to do that for many years. But I feel like West Ham, especially because the focus is on the league, that might be a problem. But I don't see why the fact that West Ham shouldn't look at the Europa League and be like, we could try and win that.
Mm-hmm. I think you've seen the quality of the Europa League increase a lot in the past few years. I know it used to be a little bit of a joke kind of competition, where you'd kind of see the same names, and I know it's kind of been that way a little bit recently as well. But I think you can see some of the names that are appearing in that competition these days, and that's not going to be an easy one for West Ham to win. Considering that, James, obviously Arsenal are not in any European competition. How much of a boost is that for them this year, or do you not buy that?
I don't buy that. I feel like you're going to see even more of an excuse for Arsenal to fail and to be more depressed. The fact that we only, to me, it's two things. There's no excuse for now. There's no excuse of the Thursday game, but also there was no second option, because Jack, that the league position could go wayward after 10 games.
Oh yeah.
And then what else? Are you going to have to look for?
Right.
Because last season, at least when we knew that the league was getting totally out of hand, there was the Europa League to kind of cling on and hope that we could do well in that. We're now Europa League now. What happens when 10, 15 games are gone and we're languishing mid-table or the bottom half of the table?
It's true. And I know that there's a certain level of you probably don't want to focus too much on a game. You know what I mean? You want to prepare for a game, but you don't want to over prepare and overthink. You do still want to have some kind of natural feeling about a game going into it, and just being able to get ready for it. And when fixtures come at you, there's a certain level of you just get on autopilot. And the more and more you put pressure on the Premier League games, the more and more potentially you can overthink certain things as well. Bryson, Leicester are a lot like Spurs. They have a fantastic team that play pretty football, but they don't have enough of those players who just want to win at all costs. Spurs tried to fix the problem with PEH.
I think that was Højbjerg.
Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And I think Højbjerg is a great player for that. Absolutely. Only one manager in the world that consistently wins leagues with beautiful football. That's Pep. There's an ugly side to every other team that win trophies. Yeah.
Arsene Wenger,
I think
when Arsenal were winning it. Come on, we played.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. Is that a bit of a like dead opinion these days, James, about having to be nasty to win leagues? I don't know if that's. I
don't think so, because when Chelsea won it under Antonio Conte, some of the football that they were playing at times, they literally cut through teams. Go watch their game against Everton. That's one of the greatest footballing displays I've ever seen. They were scary good that day.
I think you do need a mix of personalities, but I'll look at like a Ronaldinho, a Messi, a Kante, a Juan Mata, these kinds of characters within the game. They've all had great success with teams, and I know maybe they had nasty players around them. But these guys have, they're the top of their field, and they do it with a smile on their face and just a good, hardworking attitude. So I don't know if I totally buy that. I think leadership comes in all sorts of different forms. I don't think you need to be a black belt in the dark arts of football with time wasting and getting people sent off like some players are.
To me, I feel like it's the biggest cop out I hear from a pundit. So Arsenal lost to Brighton, and the one thing I hear from a lot of fans, Paul Merson and all these guys, is we're the leaders. We're the leaders.
Such rubbish.
It isn't the leaders. It's completely the lack of quality. Forget about leaders at times. Quality wins you stuff. The Barcelona team that in like 2011, was it the leaders or the quality that they had? Real Madrid when they won a 3-peat, the leaders or the quality? Quality ultimately wins you things.
Yeah.
Why were Man City so great in the last 4 seasons, winning 3 leagues? Was it the leaders or the fact that they had the best squad in the overall quality? Quality ultimately gets you to the next level.
And not to be specific about Arsenal, but you can't tell me that there aren't leaders in that squad in some way, shape, or form. I mean, you have captains of national teams knocking around in there.
Listen, you bring Tony Adams into this team, he makes us better. But we still need a lot more. Because
Tony Adams is also a good centre back with quality. It's not necessarily because he's a leader. It's because he's Santi Cazorla. You wouldn't say is a leader, but you bring Santi Cazorla in. It's the quality that
Quality ultimately buys you success. Leadership obviously is needed, but quality always takes you to that next height. But Jack, let's finish it off here. I just want to ask you your consensus for the first day. The opening day of the season. What did you take away from this? Any bit of advice to give?
No advice. It's great to be back. It's great to be back. Obviously a rough Friday night for your guys, but overall I really enjoyed the whole weekend. I think that the fact that City have some work to do, and they're already behind 3 points on Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, and Leicester. The narratives are already being written going forward for the rest of the season. Great to have fans back. I was really pleased with the refereeing, James. I've got to be honest with you. There were a couple ropey ones where I thought they should have probably pulled that up. But in general, it seems as though we have the fans like it and the people watching at home like it as well. So I think that there is a sliding scale and a fine balance between the right thing and the right thing. And what I mean by that is, you can get a decision correct by drawing lines on a screen and perfectly analyzing it and going, well, technically it's the right decision. But again, even if a wrong decision goes a certain way, I think one thing that we all crave in football is the controversy. I don't know about you, James, but when a goal goes your way for Arsenal, a goal goes against Arsenal that should or shouldn't have, it's a matter of debate. You can be cheeky about it. It creates a buzz about the game. So I've seen VAR used a lot less. I've seen, going over to the screen. I don't know if that happened actually at all over the past weekend. And refs are generally speaking going with their gut. And VAR seems to be now just there in place purely so that when something very, very blatant happens, that it can be found out. So I'm hoping that it will remain that way going forward. I just hope the refs don't get their fingers burnt with any mistakes.
Let's just read these few comments from Bryce, and then I'm going to give my own consensus.
Yeah. Bryson, yes, these teams you are mentioning play pretty football. They also have their times where they're playing defensive with a back five. Conte with Chelsea launching into pretty attacks. Bryson, opening day consensus is that fans are the most important part of football. Agree with you 100%. And Spurs will continue to get my hopes up before ruining them. That sounds about right.
Beautiful. My consensus is to everybody: rather your team lost, rather your team won. It's the opening day.
Right.
Just relax. If you're a fan of Manchester United, don't get too ahead of yourself. You've seen this before. Two seasons ago, Man United won 4-0 against Chelsea at home. 4-0, and everyone talking about how this Chelsea team is in the mud. They weren't able to sign anyone. Chelsea ended up finishing above Manchester United that season. You know, I've seen teams Barcelona in 2009 under Pep Guardiola. They lost their first game, and they went on to win 6 trophies in the next 12 months. So everyone needs to calm down. Yeah, Man City, just because they lost today, that don't mean that they won't go on and win the title. Just because, for instance, Tottenham win today, that don't mean that they're going to be challenging for the top 4. One game, take every game as it comes. This is a Premier League. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And
I didn't see anything from any team that made me go, ooh, like that's amazing in terms of like overhyping them. And I didn't really see anything from any team apart from maybe Arsenal that made me go, we're in trouble here. There might be a bit of
Arsenal are the anomaly to me. You can take a lot from that first game because it's what you've seen last season just brought into this season. There isn't much change.
It's just a carry on, but that's the thing. Yeah, I think James, I echo everything that you just said. I think you're absolutely spot on. You guys that teams won, chill. You're not necessarily gonna go crazy, and I think your point about the Manchester United one is absolutely correct. You know, I'm happy in terms of my prediction. I think so far so good. But obviously we know that they match up very, very well. I think there's a certain argument that Manchester United's easiest game of the season is Leeds. If we're being honest, but yeah.
But again, guys, secondly, everyone's mentioned it today. Having fans back in the stadium, the atmosphere when Son scored, massive. When all the goals were going into Old Trafford, massive. When Brentford scored and listened to the echo of the fans, having a goal go in like COVID time was a bit weird because it would just be a one applauder. Just say yes, you know when a goal goes in, you can feel a team push the team forward. Watching Tottenham break every single time and listen to the fans push them forward was amazing. And just overall, just having them back is just the most amazing thing. I need to get to a few Premier League games this season. Hopefully, I get to go to at least a few. I'll try to avoid going to Arsenal games.
James, last one. Harry Kane to City, yes or no?
No.
Because that no was my opinion for the longest time, but I'm starting to.
Again, no, I don't know how to feel about this, Jack. Because I feel like Daniel Levy, I think low-key he doesn't want to sell, but I can understand it from the point of view financially. It makes sense, but it's so late in the season right now. It's so late in the transfer window. Can Tottenham find a striker good enough or replace him good enough to replace Harry Kane right now?
But do you wonder if the reason why there's been no talks whatsoever is because the first game of the season was Spurs City?
Oh,
I thought that today. I thought of that. Like
people were talking about the fact Harry Kane wasn't in the stadium. If that was any other game today, Harry Kane would have been in the stadium.
I think he was in the stadium, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't in the stadium. Oh. No, he wasn't in the stadium at all. The fact that it was Manchester City, Tottenham wanted to get the Harry Kane thing completely away. You know, I don't even think he's back in training right now, but at least he was going to show up, show his face. It's a weird one at this moment.
Yeah, well,
generally it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 one.
It definitely feels that way. Like I say, I think Dusan Vlahovic would be a great signing. That's the one person I've seen rumored the most, but supposedly Atletico Madrid want him. Vera Sly, just one game and I'm chill. Still hoping for Paratici, still cooking. Although it's hard without Kane's money. Well, here's the thing, man. But again, if you believe that you were bidding for Pau Torres as well, then I think we know for a fact that they're probably expecting some money coming in. But again, this is a squad that hasn't spent in multiple windows, so they can probably do with spending.
David, secondly, sorry, Bryson. That now the documentary is coming out. That after that game, it should be completely scrapped. Forget about it. just.
If Kane did leave for City, Grealish was number 10. What number would Kane have? Not 11. It depends when kind of final squad registration and squad numbers are confirmed, because you'd wonder maybe Kane would want to take 9 from Jesus. But again, Jesus doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who'd let him have it. So I don't know what number Kane would be. Maybe a number he had when he was playing younger. Like maybe he'll do a Messi and take one from his first kit number. I don't know. I think City will push harder for Kane, but Levy will be more determined to keep Kane, thinking we can push for top 4 after that performance. Brackets, we can't. Who bought their Messi PSG shirt from David?
Soon, David. I'm gonna have to get it. But apparently they're sold out at this moment in time. But yeah, guys,
I'm not surprised.
We're gonna have to call it quits right now. Thank you all for showing up today and just commenting and showing us love by just being here and obviously interacting with us, guys. If you have any other things to say, leave a comment down in our other videos, especially in like Jack's prediction video, and we will answer them. We will be back with some more transfer talk. A prediction video for the Premier League will be coming soon. We've got plenty more different stuff coming. Maybe another Messi video might be coming out, guys. Just stay tuned, but guys.
Also, guys, my table prediction will obviously be updated after the transfer window finishes, and I'm hoping I'll have a little bit of a collaboration with James on that, and he'll give me his final table prediction after the transfer window does come to a conclusion.
So, guys, many other things coming. Just stay tuned. Thanks for watching. This is Box to Box Football. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Thank you, David. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate